Hello everyone, welcome to the Boost Your Basic series. Today we are here to discuss the part 2 of the blood chapter. We have already covered the part 1 of this particular chapter. Okay, if you have missed the part 1 or if you have missed any of our Boost Your Basic series, you can watch it on our YouTube channel, Dharmesh Mehta GPET. Okay, now let's start with today's session. Hemostasis. Hemostasis, and there is another word called as homeostasis. Okay, don't be confused between these two words. Okay, the homeostasis meaning the ability of our body to maintain our internal environment, okay, in order to cope up with the changes which are taking place externally. Okay, externally यानी जो environment में changes हो रहे हैं उसके accordingly हमारी body हमारे इंटरनल एनवायरनमेंट को मेंटेन करती है. ओके, जैसे कि बाय मेंटेनिंग द वाटर लेवल ऑफ द बॉडी, देन बाय मेंटेनिंग द टेम्परेचर ऑफ द बॉडी. ओके, एंड हेमोस्टेसिस is a sequence of responses that stops bleeding. Okay, now there are three mechanisms which are involved to reduce the blood loss. Okay, that is vascular spasm, platelet plug formation, and blood clotting or coagulation. But you have to remember that the hemostasis which is there, that can prevent hemorrhage from smaller blood vessels, but extensive hemorrhage of larger blood vessels will require the medical intervention. Okay, now first we will see the vascular spasm. Okay, सबसे पहले vascular spasm देखते हैं. So when arteries or arterioles are damaged, okay, arteries are the larger blood vessels and their branches arterioles. Okay, whenever they are damaged, the circularly arranged smooth muscle, okay, in their walls will contract. Okay, why they will contract? In order to minimize or prevent the blood loss. Okay, they will contract immediately, and that reaction is called as vascular spasm. Then it reduces blood loss for around several minutes to several hours, and during this particular time period the other two mechanisms will go into action. The causes of the spasm can be the damage to the smooth muscles, then by substances released from the activated platelets, okay, or by the reflexes which are initiated by pain receptors. Okay, अब हम देखते हैं platelet plug formation. So platelets store many chemicals within their vesicles like clotting factors, ADP, ATP, calcium, serotonin. Okay, and they also have some enzymes that produces thromboxane A2, that is a prostaglandin. Then fibrin stabilizing factor, okay, which help to strengthen a blood clot. Then lysosomes, some mitochondria, membrane systems that take up and store calcium, okay, and provide channels for release of the contents of granules and glycogen. Okay, so these are the various chemicals which are present within the vesicles of platelets. So now we see the different stages which are involved in platelet plug formation. So the first step, okay, the सबसे पहली वाली step है platelet adhesion. Okay, so whenever there is a damage to endothelial cells, okay, you can see here these are the endothelial cells. Okay, so whenever these endothelial cells gets damaged, okay, the underlying tissue which is there, okay, will be exposed. Okay, so the collagen fibers of the underlying connective tissue will get exposed, and you can see the platelets which are there, they start to adhere to this damaged part. Okay, then the next step is platelet release reaction. Okay, in this particular step what happens, you can see here. Okay, आप यहाँ पर देख सकते हैं कि जो platelets है, they are forming some kind of projections. Okay, and this projection helps them to interact with each other. Okay, and once they are activated, they will release various kinds of chemicals. Okay, like ADP, serotonin, thromboxane A2. Okay, and this ADP and thromboxane A2 which are there, they will activate the nearby platelets, and the serotonin and thromboxane A2 which is there, they will cause the vasoconstriction. Okay, why they will cause vasoconstriction? In order to reduce or minimize the blood loss. Okay, then the next step is platelet aggregation. Okay, you can see here this ADP which is there. Okay, this will introduce a stickiness kind of thing in the nearby platelets. Okay, and this due to this stickiness they will aggregate together. Okay, and will form the platelet plug. Okay, so these are the three steps which are involved. Okay, the first step is platelet adhesion, then followed by platelet release reaction, then followed by platelet aggregation. Okay, Now blood clotting. So if the blood is withdrawn from the body, it will thicken and form a gel. Okay, and when eventually what will happen, the gel separates the liquid, and this straw color liquid, okay, called as serum, is simply the blood plasma minus the clotting proteins, and the gel is called as clot or the blood clot. It consists of a network of insoluble protein fibers. Okay, this clot consists of network of insoluble protein fibers called as fibrin, in which the formed elements of blood are trapped. Okay, you will get a better idea by seeing these diagrams. Okay, this is the early stage of blood clotting. Then this is the intermediate stage. Okay, you can see the number of fibrin threads are increasing. Then this is a late stage. And finally, this is the stage where the red blood cells or the formed elements are entrapped between this or within this fibrin threads. Okay. Okay, so now we'll see the different clotting factors which are involved in blood clotting. Okay, you can see here the numbers, Roman numbers, they are mostly according to their discoveries. Okay, and you can remember this mnemonic in order to remember this all factors. Okay, this is foolish people try climbing long slopes. After Christmas, some people have fallen. Okay, so here F stands for fibrinogen, that is factor number 1. Then P stands for prothrombin, that is factor number 2. T stands for tissue factor or thromboplastin, okay, that is factor number 3. Then C stands for calcium ions, that is factor number 4. Then L stands for labile factor, okay, that is factor number 5. Then you have to notice here that after factor 5, there is no factor 6, okay, directly the factor 7 is there. Okay, so S stands here for the stable factor or the serum prothrombin conversion accelerator. Okay, that is factor number 7. Then we have A for anti-hemophilic factor, that is factor number 8. Okay, and you have to remember this because this is frequently asked question. Okay, then C stands for Christmas factor, that is factor number 9. Then we have S for Stuart factor, that is factor number 10. Okay, then we have P for plasma thromboplastin antecedent, that is factor number 11. Okay, then we have H for Hitchman factor, that is factor number 12. And lastly, we have the fibrin stabilizing factor, that is factor number 13. Okay. Now, the process of gel formation called as clotting or coagulation is a series of chemical reaction, okay, which will finally form the fibrin threads. The clotting involves several substances known as clotting or the coagulation factors. These factors include calcium ions, several inactive enzymes that are synthesized by hepatocytes, that are the liver cells, and released into bloodstream, and various molecules which are associated with platelets or released by damaged tissues. This clotting process which is there, okay, it is a complex cascade of enzymatic reactions in which each clotting factor activates many molecules of the next one in a fixed sequence. And finally, a large quantity of product, that is the insoluble protein fibrin, is formed. And the clotting usually have 3 stages, okay. In first stage, there are 2 pathways, that is extrinsic pathway, intrinsic pathway. Okay, both of these pathway will finally lead to a same enzyme, that is prothrombinase. Okay, this particular prothrombinase which is there, okay, is the enzyme which is formed, okay, at the end of both of this pathway, that is extrinsic pathway and intrinsic pathway. Okay, and once the prothrombinase enzyme is formed, okay, the further 2 steps, that is step number 2 and step number 3, okay, they are same for both pathways, okay, for extrinsic pathway as well as intrinsic pathway. Okay, so once the prothrombinase enzyme is formed, since the further 2 steps are same for both pathways, extrinsic and intrinsic, they are called as common pathway. Okay, so once the prothrombinase enzyme is formed, this prothrombinase enzyme will convert prothrombin, okay, that is a plasma protein formed by the liver, into the enzyme thrombin. And further, the thrombin which has formed, okay, the thrombin enzyme which has formed will convert the soluble fibrinogen, that is another plasma protein formed by the liver, into the insoluble fibrin, and fibrin forms the threads of the clot. Okay, now you will get a better idea by with these diagrams. Okay, we'll see. So first one is extrinsic pathway. In extrinsic pathway, first we will learn about extrinsic pathway. Okay, so from name itself, you can identify that extrinsic meaning outside, right? Outside the blood vessel. That is, whenever there will be a tissue trauma, okay, there will be a release of tissue factor. Okay, so this particular tissue factor is outside the blood vessels. Okay, so this is an activator which is present outside the blood vessels or the blood, and then after the tissue trauma, once the tissue trauma occurs, this tissue factor will leak into the blood or blood vessels. Okay, then it will combine with calcium and will form our activated factor number 10. Okay, and after combination of factor number 5 and calcium, it will form prothrombinase. Now we'll see this extrinsic pathway in little detail. So you can see here the factor number 7, which is there, okay, will be converted to activated factor 7, and then with the help of tissue factor and calcium, the factor 10 will be converted into activated factor 10. Okay, and further they will form the prothrombinase with the help of factor 5 and calcium. Okay, so this is an extrinsic pathway, and extrinsic pathway has fewer steps as compared to intrinsic pathway, and also it is very rapid. Okay, so then we will see the intrinsic pathway. Intrinsic pathway is slower, okay, as compared to the extrinsic pathway, and it is little complex. Okay, you can see the many steps are involved in the intrinsic pathway. So intrinsic, so from name itself we can identify that intrinsic meaning the activators which are there, they are present in the blood vessels or they are present in the blood itself. Okay, so whenever there will be a damage to the endothelial cell, okay, the collagen fibers will get exposed. Same way there will be a damaged platelets. Okay, they will give rise to the activated factor number 12. Okay, so you can see here, you can see this particular steps. Okay, they are in little detail over here. So this particular activated factor number 12, which is there, will convert 11th factor to activated 11th factor. Then it will convert 11A factor will convert factor number 9 to activated factor number 9. Okay, and then with the help of factor 8, it will finally give rise to activated factor number 10. Okay, and then this activated factor number 10, which is there, with the help of factor 5 and with the help of calcium, will form a prothrombinase enzyme. Okay, and you can also see here the activated platelets which are there, they will form this platelet phospholipid, which will also enhance the formation of activated factor number 10. Okay, so end result is what of both these pathways? Prothrombinase. Okay, after the prothrombinase formation, the further steps are same for both the pathways. Okay, hence it is referred to as common pathway. That is, this prothrombinase will convert prothrombin to thrombin, okay, with the help of calcium. Then this thrombin will convert fibrinogen to the loose fibrin threads. Okay, that is loose fibrin threads or soluble fibrin threads. Okay, you can see here. And then the 13th factor which is there, that is the fibrin stabilizing factor, okay, which will strengthen the fibrin threads, okay, will get activated and it will strengthen the fibrin threads. Okay, and hence the loose fibrin threads will be converted into strengthened fibrin threads. Okay, so this is a process which is involved in clotting or the blood coagulation. Okay, now this is another plasminogen plasmin system. Okay, once the thrombus is formed, okay, as a result of blood clotting, so we again have to recanalize the occluded blood vessel, right? So in order to recanalize the occluded blood vessel, this particular plasminogen plasmin system take place. Okay, here what happens? The plasminogen which is there or profibrinolysin will be converted to plasmin, okay, with the help of activators that are the tissue plasminogen activator. Okay, and this plasmin or the fibrinolysin which has formed will convert the fibrin insoluble to the fibrin soluble fragments. Okay, now we will talk about the blood groups. So there are various antigens present on the RBCs, okay, and that give rise to various number of blood groups. Like there are around 24 blood groups, okay. But in this particular session, हम सिर्फ दो major blood groups के बारे में बात करेंगे, that is ABO blood group and RH blood group, okay. So let's start. So you know that this is an RBC, okay, and RBC has various antigens, okay, and in this particular ABO blood group, we will talk about antigen A and antigen B, okay. So this is an RBC. This is type A blood group, okay. Type A blood group will have A antigen on its RBC, correct? And it will have opposite antibody, right? In its plasma, this particular blood group A will have opposite antibody, that is anti-B antibody, okay? Then we have type B blood group. In type B blood group, the RBCs will contain B antigen, and this particular blood group will have the opposite antibody, okay, to this antigen, that is anti-A antibody. Then we have type AB. This type AB have both antigens, that is antigen A as well as antigen B. And hence, in order to maintain the compatibility, or in order to prevent the agglutination process, okay, agglutination reaction, there are no antibodies present in the type AB blood group, right? And in type O, we have neither A nor B antigen on the RBC surface, but they will have both antibodies, that is anti-A antibody and anti-B antibody, okay. और आपने सुना होगा कि हम टाइप ए बी जो है, ओके, उसको हम यूनिवर्सल रेसिपिएंट बोलते हैं, एंड टाइप ओ जो है उसको हम यूनिवर्सल डोनर बोलते हैं, राइट? बट दिस इज जस्ट अ थियोरेटिकल टर्म्स, ओके, एक्चुअली दिस इज नॉट ट्रू. Actually, whenever we are doing the transfusion, okay, blood transfusion, that time we actually have to screen or cross check the blood, okay, for blood groups for the compatibility, okay, because there are various antigens which are present on the RBCs, okay. So these terms which are there as universal recipients, universal donors, are just theoretical, but whenever the transfusion is taking place, we just have to cross check or screen for the compatibility of the blood, okay. Now we will get a better idea with the help of this table, okay. So agglutinogen or the antigen on RBC, okay, and these are the blood types. Blood type A will have antigen A, correct? First we'll see all things about the blood group A or blood type A, okay. The blood type A will have antigen A. It will have opposite antibody, that is anti-B antibody. Then it is compatible donor blood types, that is no hemolysis will take place if it is transfused with blood type A and blood type O, right? Then it is incompatible, okay, donor blood type, that is hemolysis. This particular incompatible, this blood group A will be incompatible with B and AB, okay. Then we have B. In blood group B, the antigen will be B, its antibody will be anti-A, correct? It will be compatible with blood group B and blood group O, correct? And it is incompatible with blood group A and blood group AB. Then we have blood type AB. Antigen over here are both A as well as B. There are no antibodies present in plasma, that is neither anti-A nor anti-B. It is compatible with all four, that is A, B, AB and O, since there are no antibodies present, and incompatible with no one, right? Then we have O blood group. It will have neither A nor B antigen, but it will have both antibodies, that is anti-A antibody, anti-B antibody, okay. And it will be compatible donor will be only the O blood type group, okay. And incompatible donor blood type will be A, B and AB, okay. So I will explain you with one example, okay. So take one case where the person blood group is A, okay, and he is receiving the transfusion from the donor who has blood group B, okay. So the one which is receiving the blood, okay, is called as recipient, and one which is giving the blood is called as donor. Okay, so this particular person which is the recipient which is there will have A antigens on its RBCs, correct, and it will have anti-B antibody on its in their plasma, correct. It will have anti-B antibody in their plasma. Am I right? So now what will happen? These RBCs which are there of the donors, okay, when they will be transfused in this particular recipient, okay, we know that this particular donor's blood group is B, and this B blood group will have RBCs, okay, and these RBCs will contain the B antigen. And now this B antigen and this anti-B antibody will start reacting, okay, and then it will lead to the process of agglutination, or the agglutination reaction will take place, okay. And once the agglutination reaction take place, they will form complex, and it will lead to the activation of complement system. Then this complement system will make the RBCs of the donor, okay, leakier, and due to this reaction, the RBCs will be ruptured, okay, and this ruptured RBCs will form hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin then further can damage the kidneys, okay, by interfering with the filtration process, okay, they can clog the filtration process, okay. This is one case. Another case will be this B blood group which is there, okay, the donor's B blood group, the blood which is there of the donor will have anti-A antibody in its plasma. Am I right? It will have anti-A antibody in their plasma. Now, another case can be this anti-A antibody which is there can react with antigens of this particular recipient's RBCs, right? Because the recipient's RBCs have A antigen. So this reaction can also take place. But this reaction is not that much significant. Why? Because these anti-A antibodies of the donor's blood which are there, they will get diluted in the recipient's blood, right? Because we have around 5 liters of blood. So this particular anti-A antibodies will get diluted in recipient's body. So this reaction will not be that much significant. But which reaction will be significant? The anti-B antibodies which are there in the plasma of the recipients will react with the B antigens present on the RBCs of the donor blood. Okay. So this is just one example. Okay. Now we'll see the Rh blood group. The Rh blood group is the Rh antigen called as Rh factor was first found in the blood of the rhesus monkey. People whose RBCs have Rh antigens are designated as Rh positive, and who lack Rh antigens are designated as Rh negative. Normally, the plasma does not contain anti-Rh antibodies, okay? If an Rh negative person receives Rh positive blood transfusion, the immune system starts to make anti-Rh antibodies that will remain in the blood. And if a second transfusion of Rh positive blood is given later, the previous formed anti-Rh antibodies will cause agglutination reaction and hemolysis of the RBCs in the donated blood, and a severe reaction may occur. Okay. Now we'll move on to the MCQs part. But before that, if you want more such videos, you can subscribe to our channel, Dharmesh Mehta GPET. You can press the bell icon and you will be notified every time a video is posted. We also have free WhatsApp group where we post daily 5 MCQs, and we also have classes. So if you want to get enrolled for the classes, or if you want to get added on these groups, you can just contact on these numbers. You can mention your name, your college name, and we will do the needful. Okay. So now let's move on to the MCQ part. In the context of the ABO blood group, a transfusion of AB blood may be given to a person who has blood type. Okay. So यहाँ पर हमें पूछा है कि हम किसको, okay, this AB blood may be given to a person who has blood type. That means this AB blood is a donor, correct? Right? Now, the A blood group will have antigen A and anti-B antibodies. Then this B blood group will have antigen B and anti-A antibodies. then this O will have no antigens on their surface, but they have both antibodies, right? Anti-A and anti-B antibodies. So the compatible one will be only this particular AB group, right? Because they are having no antibodies against antigen A as well as antigen B. So the correct answer will be AB. The next question, in the ABO system, the blood group O is characterized by, okay, we have already seen this. Options are presence of antigen O, presence of both antigen A and antigen B, absence of both antigen A and antigen B, presence of antigen A and absence of antigen B. Okay, we have already seen this particular thing, that is they are not having antigen A as well as antigen B, but they are having anti-A antibodies and anti-B antibodies in their plasma, right? Then next one, which of the inactive clotting factor is activated by vitamin K coenzyme? Okay, so options are these are the options: 2, 5, 9, 10. B option is factor 2, factor 7, factor 9, factor 10. C option is 1, factor 1, factor 2, factor 3, factor 4. And D option is factor 2, factor 5, factor 6, and factor 7. Okay. So vitamin K, which is there, is not directly involved in clotting process, but it is involved in the formation of the clotting factors which are involved directly in the clotting process, correct? So these factors are prothrombin, that is factor number 2, then factor number 7, factor number 9, and factor number 10. Okay, so these vitamin K and vitamin K which is there, okay, it is very important in coagulation process. Okay, although it is not involved directly, but it is involved in the formation of these particular factors. Okay, and hence the deficiency of vitamin K can lead to bleeding, right? And hence there should be adequate amount of vitamin K in our blood in order to form this particular coagulation factors. Okay, so we can see here the answer will be factor number 2, 7, 9, 10, 10. Okay, so yes, that's it for today. Thank you.